Welcome back to Well and Worthy Life podcast. I'm so excited to have Dr. Anna back with us. If you don't remember, Dr. Anna was with us last April when your latest book came out, Menopause, which I love this book so much, but you've written so many books. The Hormone Fix, Keto Green 16. I have them all right here. Like,
That's
I just
awesome.
love your books. So, but I wanted to have you back because I really wanted us to talk more. We in the first episode, we talked about your new book, Menopause, and how food is medicine, and some of the foods that we eat can really help our hormones, really kind of balance our hormones out. We talked about sexual health, low libido, those kind of things. We've talked about bioidentical hormones a little bit, but I feel like I want to discuss more about hormone therapy. I have so many clients that are still so afraid of hormone therapy.
Well, I think it's number one is get educated. I mean, it's right. Just get educated about it. Look at the research, look at the people that are doing it. Talk with your compounding pharmacist and, see what is he seen over the years, right? They've been compounding hormones for, decades. So understanding, like what are we seeing? And I would just say, there's been so much media fear about hormones and so much misinformation out there. First of all, if you are afraid of something, that is not something for you to jump into, right? You have to get comfortable with it because fear in and of itself is detrimental to your health. So if you're worried that you're taking something it's going to cause cancer, then that's not something you should be taking, right? But that's number one. Number two, the safety of bioidentical hormones. And that is key. And I talk about hormone replenishment, not hormone
Love that.
replacement. We want to support our body's natural hormone production as much as possible. So we use adaptogens, we detox, we eliminate our toxin exposure, we work to get a good night's sleep and get outside in the sunshine and focus on the positive, right? So those are things that empower our body's natural hormone production. And we want to do that as much as possible. And then use bioidentical hormones to replenish what we've lost. Now, I would say if we were living in the Amazon and we picked our food and hunted and got everything fresh and amazing, I think then, we're getting our natural hormones that way and we're staying in balance. But when we're living in an artificial society, and it depends on how I'm under a tremendous amount of blue lights right now, right? I've been inside doing recordings all day. And so those are hormone disruptors. And a high level of stress, of course, is a hormone disruptor. But so if we're going to choose to use hormones, and I do believe in it naturally, and I've created my own hormonal creams and products because I strongly believe in the safety and efficacy of it, right? Like with anything, for the right person, for the right time, for the right duration of time. And the research on bioidentical progesterone, not progestins. Progestins are toxic. Progesterone is not. Bioidentical progesterone is not. So progestins are, however, and the research has shown that increases synthetic progestins, like in the study which by the Women's Health Initiative that looked at, Prempro, Provera, which is has negative side effects for the cardiovascular system and increase your risk of breast cancer. So we know that's not a good one, but there are better options. Don't throw them all out just because of some bad synthetic forms. Women, we're smart, right? We're intuitive. When we get to that space where we are really in tune with what our body needs, that's powerful. So getting rid of the brain fog, using bioidentical hormones, progesterone, estrogen, even testosterone and DHEA. They're some of my favorites, but as you know from my first book, The Hormone Fix, it takes more than hormones to fix your hormones.
And that's the biggest thing that I think that's so important that we need to get across to people. I have people ask me every day, well, is it this supplement you're taking, or is it your bioidentical hormones? It's not just one thing, it's a lifestyle, like you talk about. It is getting out and moving my body. It is, creating a positive mindset, filling my mind with positive things, not all the bad things, surrounding myself with people that encourage me and support me, all of those things. It just, we can't just think one thing is going to fix everything. And that's, I love this because you've been there, you've done it. So let's go back a little bit about your story. That's what makes it so real too, is that you have been there. You're not just talking about this just because I'm a doctor and I know everything. You have been there and you've gone through menopause not once, but twice.
Yes, yeah, yeah. I think I'm finally through it at 56. So, yeah, yeah. So, but I was diagnosed with early menopause at 39. So, what I've done is unheard of, right? What I've done is unheard of. When we get a diagnosis of early menopause, especially in the, in the 30s, we're like, okay, that's it. Like, here's your hormone replacement and your antidepressant and your psychiatrist and all that good stuff, right? That wasn't true. It was a physiologic imbalance due to external circumstances and tremendous amount of PTSD that shut down my ovaries. And, the lab said I was early menopause. The reproductive endocrinologist says you're infertile. There's no chance. Your only chance to have another baby is egg donation, right? So I heard all of these things. And there was part of me that was I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe
Yeah.
that was my life right now. And that I took a sabbatical from my practice and took a journey around the world. And I learned about healing superfoods and started drinking maca and some other superfoods. And that's how I created my supplement, Mighty Maca Plus. But when I came back from that journey, I was pregnant. I had reversed menopause and I had naturally conceived the child I was told I would never be able to have. So that made me just passionate, on fire, bringing this information to my patients. What did I do differently? How did I empower my own natural hormones and fertility? I mean, the longer we keep our ovarian function working, the better, healthier longevity we have. That is key. So this suppressing and ovarian removal and all of that stuff, if we can avoid it, we
Mhm.
need to.
Mhm.
So that was part of my story. And then I just became really passionate about the diet and lifestyle changes. And, when you have to change things, when your hormones are changing and you're in a transition time, you have to change things. So that's been part of my journey. And, you know, I want every woman to feel empowered.
And I love that about you because I definitely think that's what you're doing. You're empowering women to ask the questions and to take back some of this control. We've been dismissed so much in our life, and we continue to get dismissed by some of these doctors when we go to them and we're like, oh, something's not right. And you're like, oh, you just have to suffer through it, or that's just the way things are.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's so true. And I was talking with another OBGYN this morning, and she said if it wasn't for her own personal journey, she wouldn't be doing functional medicine and bioidentical hormones and learning these things. As more women, now when I went to medical school, we were 17 women out of a class of 115. So we were like,
Wow.
the minority, right? And so that's over 30 years ago, but now it's 50-50, right? And it started 50-50 about 20 years ago, 25 years ago. So a lot more women over the past 30 years, have gone through medical school, and that means they're all hitting menopause, right?
Mhm.
That those rounds are hitting menopause. And Dr. Christiane Northrup really paved the way for so many women with her novel book, Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom. And she was persecuted by the medical board and her fellow colleagues for her take on women's health and menopause. So many women I'm not going to risk myself, risk my
Mhm.
reputation, by
Mhm.
saying something different. So you stop listening to your intuition. Your
Mhm.
intuition tells you, okay, it's not just a prescription pad, a drug, an antidepressant. That's not what women need. And your intuition is telling you that over and over again. And you're not seeing them get better, but you're, giving them medication that'll keep them, keep a patient symptom subdued for a
Yeah.
while to not come into their next annual appointment, or they need a refill, right?
Right.
But now as female physicians go through it, and and passionate and compassionate male physicians, you're seeing them say, hey, what I was taught, what I was doing didn't work for me.
Mhm. Mm.
And this is where we need to change our medical system. We need to change, and all good, grassroots movements. And when we're together and we're right, will
Right.
create change. So bioidentical hormones are really good, but again, they can't be patented. They can't have those big profit margins that the synthetic chemicals get all around. And
Mhm.
so, we know the corruption and the power of big pharma. So in our
Mhm.
own bodies, with our own legacy, with our own next right steps that we're going to take and make, we have to feel in alignment with our nature, with our design, and feel empowered and healthy. And I would say, I spent my 20s and hundreds of thousands of dollars in, learning that's the 5%, the 5% or the 10%. The 95% is in each of our own power. Right? It's in each
Mhm.
of our own power. That's the lifestyle changes for me. It's the keto green way or the keto green lifestyle. And it's, it's that combination of what we eat, how we think, how we sleep, how we move, how
Mhm.
we feel, all of those,
Exactly.
how we love, all of those
Mhm.
things create wellness
Yeah,
or disease.
and it's not just this one big thing you do, and I think that's where people get so wrong too. They think, here we are, new year, right? Everybody's like, oh, got to lose that weight. They jump into different programs or different new diet fads or something and we know it's those small little tweaks that we can make. And I love what you just said, the intuition. Like we really have that intuition, but for some reason, we ignore our own intuition. I always tell my clients, that one thing, if you started doing that one thing today, you would feel so much better. But you don't do it because of why? Why because I don't know, you just don't,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I
But
say change your morning, change your life to change your habits, right? So
yeah.
it can't start the day. I can't start the day, and expect to end the day differently. Start the day the
Mhm,
same, you're going to end the day the same. So I think it's
mhm,
just the little changes that trigger you and motivate you. I mean, it's the hardest thing to do is to change, but we have to rewire because the past is comfortable. Those habits are comfortable and we have to change them. Now, bioidentical hormones can be incredibly beneficial, especially
mhm,
from mid 40s through I'm planning on the rest of my life and in natural ways. That's why I created my balance cream, which is progesterone and
mhm,
pregnenolone and tripeptides and some essential oils. They work together to help replenish your body's progesterone stores that are depleted with stress and menopause
mhm,
and that ovarian decline. The symptoms of progesterone deficiency are PMS, mood swings, difficulty sleeping, brain fog, memory loss. All of those things
mhm.
are key symptoms of progesterone insufficiency. It's a neuroprotective hormone. When we are pushing out cortisol, we further deplete our progesterone. So that can you just adding, and I don't know, midlife women with kids at home or job stress. I mean, we pile on those lifestyle stresses, and then we're, wearing many hats and pedal to the metal. So there's that where we can help replenish. I never want to suppress anyone's natural production. I want to empower you. And so we do that with adaptogens and my Mighty Maca Plus. So we bring in these adaptogens and we see an improvement in DHEA and progesterone. And if we need to, we add more progesterone that second half of the cycle. Or in menopausally, every day except for 1 or 2 days off a week or 3 to 5 days off per month, because you don't want to take it continuously because then you're suppressing your body, potentially suppressing your body's natural production. We just want to replenish, not replace or suppress. So, and then adding in DHEA, adding in additional DHEA, you can do oral DHEA or topical DHEA. It's one of the reasons I put it in Jolva because it does turn back the hands of time. So there I get my DHEA. And then, from there we could add estrogen and testosterone and optimize that.
When somebody comes, are you even seeing patients? You don't see
I do trainings. I do physician to
okay,
physician
okay.
client.
I didn't
Yeah.
think you saw patients
Yeah.
anymore. So when somebody goes to their physician to ask them for bioidentical hormones, but they can still use your Jolva. I know I've used your Jolva. I always talk about your maca in my smoothies, and I always have people ask me, how does it taste good? And I'm like, yes, you can use your maca without anything. And that helps with libido. And we talked about that last time.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. We got it in capsules for people that are averse. Mighty Maca tastes good. I
oh,
have
yeah.
kid, I have basketball teams on Mighty Maca. So just mix it in your water bottle. But now we came out with the capsules, the menopause support capsules, Mighty
Oh,
Maca menopause support capsules. So that's for those who are adverse to powders, but it's also stevia free. So,
oh,
but
that's
the
good to
hot
know.
flashes, the energy, it's all helps with those.
Right. So you can combine all your products with what your doctor is giving you.
Absolutely,
Um,
absolutely. If you're already getting progesterone, you may not want additional progesterone. But
mhm,
sometimes you're not getting enough progesterone. And so, and
mhm,
taking it orally is great to help you sleep. But, you just have to look because the delivery system, topical versus oral. Oral 90% gets metabolized. And that's great if the metabolites help produce allopregnanolone, which help with GABA receptors, that helps you get a good night's sleep.
mhm.
So that's great, but then sometimes it pushes too much cortisol. So switching to topical progesterone is another option to bypass all those oral metabolites. So that can be definitely Jolvat can be used with any hormone replacement, and that's for the most important real estate of our body. So
Exactly.
definitely, yeah.
Yes, I love that. I think that's the thing that there's so many different types. I mean, I hear people on pellets, on testosterone shots. What are your thoughts on some of those things?
So I definitely think there's a time and a place for pellets. Certainly, like when life's going crazy and you're like, I can't, I just need, and I can't remember to take a pill each day or a
Mhm,
cream, put on a cream each day. But it is, you're going to get really high levels. And so I think there's many positive. I mean, I know there are many positives to testosterone replacement in women and men. First, you have to address why is your testosterone low? And
mhm,
you have to address that problem. And because right now, when you're taking those high levels, you're really knocking out your body's own production of anything that it intended to do, and you'll go through a withdrawal state. People who stop testosterone abruptly can have severe depression and suicidal ideations. That's the dark
wow,
side of testosterone. Another dark side, and again, there are many benefits to testosterone,
mhm,
but I want to bring up these dark sides because so many people are like, oh, I didn't realize it. I was talking to a woman, 67 years old, recently, and she said, I've just been I've had a revolving door of relationships. And I'm like, well, when did that start? And like we went back, talked about a few things, and like it was four years ago. I'm like, well, what happened 4 years ago? And like we talked about other things.
mhm,
And what about your hormones? Oh yeah, I started testosterone pellets during that time. I'm like,
mm,
huh, very interesting, right? It can create novelty seeking behavior. And it can also create an
mhm.
obsessive attachment. So you have
Wow.
to watch, hormones affect our physiology. So if you know someone who's getting really angry or they're not acting like their old self in the best way, they're
Mhm,
going a little midlife crisis going on or something, is it the hormone or is it, what else is going
mhm,
on? If we're as physicians, and I teach physicians and train physicians on this, that is, we are prescribing hormones, we have to be very conscious of what that effect is having on their physiology
mhm,
because their physiology affects their behavior. That makes sense. But
mhm.
yet the
Oh,
good
yeah.
side is it can help you sleep better. And I like to use a troche because a troche has a good, 18 to 22-hour half-life, and you divided doses morning and evening,
Mhm,
and it goes into your bloodstream like a lozenge, is absorbed between the cheek and gum. And if you're like you can cut the doses. Like in the summertime, we typically need less. In the wintertime, we may need a little more,
mhm,
and be able to take a day off
mhm,
periodically or a hormone
mhm,
holiday periodically so your body can keep being refreshed, just like we do fasting,
mhm,
right? We want to empower our body to take care of itself. And
mhm,
so there's a fine art to it. But in general, yes, I've prescribed pellets. I've trained docs in doing pellets. I've done injections, and I think that's nice too, especially if you have small kids at home. You don't want to do a cream. Injections you
mhm.
do on a weekly, the best way to do injections is a small dose weekly. but also monitor. Again, too high is not good, too low is not good, but always address, why are these levels low to begin with?
Mhm. And one of the things you talked about from the very beginning is stress. And that stress, your post traumatic stress, you had a trauma that sent you into early menopause. And I think that, and I feel like this, I feel like as we get older, it's not that we have more stress. I don't really understand it, but I feel like we just can't handle it as much. And it does affect our hormones, right?
Yeah. So progesterone is like you think our life's the pressure cooker, right? It's not that we're doing, more or whatever. I mean, we live in our pressure cooker of life. And this is why meditation and positive, thinking and psychoneuroimmunobiology, I mean, it's all comes into play, right? But so we're living in this pressure cooker. Progesterone is the lid to the pressure cooker. And
Mhm.
as cortisol steals progesterone, because we will sacrifice cholesterol and pregnenolone to make cortisol. So we're going to sacrifice the rest of our hormones to make cortisol. So you're pushing out cortisol, you've like lifted the lid on the pressure cooker, and your ovaries decline making progesterone and adrenals making progesterone. Then you've lost that lid to the pressure cooker. So you don't have like, I mean, that's it. So you can't tolerate it more. But so there's another physiology here. And that's why it's again not just about the hormones. That's why, as we age, our brain is less efficient as using glucose for fuel because gluconeogenesis in the brain is hormone dependent. So the benefit certainly to supply, but we switch from using glucose for fuel for the most part to using ketones for fuel, then you're more alert, you're
Sharper.
more
Yeah.
energetic if you're doing it the right way. For me, that's combining alkalinizing diet and lifestyle with a ketogenic diet and lifestyle.
And do you do that every single day? Do you practice Keto 16 every single day? No. Okay. You
No,
go
no,
in and
I
out.
definitely
Okay.
cycle.
Okay.
My mom was a baker. I have a sweet tooth. Think I
I was
go
gonna say, I don't
years.
think I could do that all the
Yeah.
time. I mean, like,
And you need to cycle because
Mhm,
otherwise again, that's why I wrote my book Menu Pause, because
mhm,
it's 5 different menu plans and one of them is a carb up plan.
mhm,
And we need to keep that metabolic flexibility. So
mhm,
so enjoy it. Like I'll wait to see research otherwise, but there are seasons for a reason. So I feel like that's also
mhm,
true in our
mhm.
diet, as long as we can tolerate it and we're still getting results and we're getting improvement. I think it was People Magazine or something. One of the magazines reached out to me early on when Kourtney Kardashian was doing keto, and they were saying she does keto 6 days a week and Sunday she eats pancakes. What do you think about her cheat day? And I'm like, I like to call it a treat day, not
Mhm.
a
Yeah,
a
I don't
cheat
like
day.
that term
Yeah.
cheat.
And she's getting results. She's doing well. She feels great, so as long as she continues to get results, I think that's great. So I usually say 80% keto green, try to get it there,
Mhm,
70 to 80.
mhm.
Over the holidays, it was more like 20, but and then 10% feasting and 10% fasting. And so incorporating that type of diet and lifestyle. So there's a number of things that come into play, but physiologically, what happens when we get an alkaline urine pH,
Mhm,
add in those alkalinizers, and you get into ketosis. I have a group going through my Keto Green 16 book right now
mhm,
in our challenge program. And so like they really struggle to get there, especially starting out. But when they get there,
mhm.
it's like, you'll see all these pictures of their urine test strips and of how they feel. I mean, they are lit up. I call it a sense of energized enlightenment. I think it's really how the spiritual greats have a closer connection. Like we fast for spiritual connection, that
Mhm,
ketosis is a higher energy model. Combine it with alkalinity, and
mhm.
you got a good thing going.
I love that. Okay, so what is the best way to measure your hormones? If you're going to your doctor, is it through blood, saliva, urine? What is the best way? Or is there a best way?
That's a great question. And I always told my clients I will measure, I'll be evaluating every body fluid you have at one time or another. So you can measure salivary, urine, and blood hormone levels.
Mhm,
And so I think it's important to look at all of that, right? And then, of course, make sure the gut's healthy by doing a stool analysis, a
mhm,
functional stool analysis. They tell you different things, right? So, and I think that's important for salivary testing. If you're not on any hormones, you can do a full salivary hormone panel. And it really is a very good way to look at cortisol throughout the day. So, looking at your pattern of cortisol a few times throughout the day, that's a really good way to do it. Urinary hormones tell us, well, these are your metabolites, right? Your hormone
mhm.
metabolites. Like, look, urine is not just, ammonia, right? There's all kinds of toxins and elements and, metabolites in your urine. There's a lot
Mhm,
in urine. And so we can look at hormones through the urine. I mean, how did we get Premarin, pregnant mare's
yeah,
urine? Right?
right.
Our urine does tell us something, and our blood too. So the different ways tell us something. Many people are doing urinary hormone testing now because number one, it's easy. We can get a look at what's going on with your hormones throughout the day,
Mhm,
and it gives us a comprehensive picture. So it's a nice thing to do. Now, when you're on hormones or, you know, like for example, if you're on a testosterone cream, and I always get this with guys who are on testosterone gel, they're like, oh, I'd have to, my blood levels aren't good. I mean, if you're on a transdermal, I mean, the blood results aren't as reliable. I would look at
mhm,
urinary metabolites at that point.
mhm.
And then again, treat the patient, not the labs.
Mhm. That's what one of the things I've noticed with my blood work, my hormone levels don't look very good. In fact, look, sometimes they look like I've not owned any hormones. And then I did the saliva test and my cortisol came back flat. I had had a very stressful situation and I'm convinced that stress just,
Knocked
tanked
out
my
your adrenals.
adrenals.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah, so I've been working on that and trying to get that back, and I'm about ready to test my saliva again and
Okay,
see
I'll tell
where
you
I
a
am.
very quick way to help with that.
Oh, yes, I'd love that.
But, you may not like it. So seriously, the
Uh-oh.
best way is to reset your circadian cycle. So if you can go out camping, tent camping, hammock camping for 3 to 7 days, that's really
Really?
a quick way because you're in nature, you're waking up with
Makes
the
sense.
sunrise, going to bed with the sunset, you're getting all that good grounding. It's so healing. It's better than anything I can write on a prescription pad.
Oh, yeah, I'm not going camping anytime soon, but I do try to get out in nature a lot, and I can see where that would be very healing. But I was shocked, and when I did this saliva test, I was like, because I didn't feel it, but it made sense to me. I was tireder in the mornings where I normally would bound out of bed. So, but it's been a process and I have done the dried urine test too. So, but I'm always interested in looking at my blood work, but actually it's improving. So, and I think that's what we have to do. We have to take control of our own health and, try to eliminate as many stressors as we can. We're not going to be able to eliminate stress. There's no way. It's not going away. And especially if you're a mom, right? I mean, a mom or a grandmother. I know you're a grandmother, and I'm a grandmother, and I'm like, we're just going to have stressors at this stage, no matter what. It's funny because I thought I was going to get to this age, Anna, Dr. Anna, and I thought 57. Oh, what do I have to be stressed about, right? There's always
Right,
something.
right.
There's always something. And I do feel like
But
sometimes
we
it's
can
worse.
handle it better. I mean, I think
Mhm,
like as you get into the practices that, that I think menopause gives you the ability to have perspective, right? To
mhm,
have perspective that the present moment is the most important moment that you're
mhm,
in. To break the old habits that no longer serve you. We're out of that reproductive hormone fog, right?
mhm.
We're out of that fog. So, we don't want to bring that back on us. We want to stay really present, clear, focused on the good that's in our life and be able to feed into others around us. I think for the most part, so many women I meet are just like, yeah, at this stage and I want to enjoy what I've created and also be able to bless others.
Mhm,
And I think that's really important. And when we're not feeling that, and
mhm,
again, I've seen so many women struggle. When we're not feeling that, we've got to get to the root cause. Number one, we have to have hope. We have to know that we have
mhm.
many purposes and we can improve our physiology. When we are not feeling good, that's when cortisol is winning. That is when stress hormones is winning.
Mhm.
That's not the good in our life. But when we focus on all that, we optimize oxytocin. I say it's time for
I love
oxyplay
that.
every day.
I
We
love
have
it.
to optimize. I would not be here without the practices that I have incorporated
Mhm.
into my life that increase oxytocin. I would not be here. Too much.
What's
Like
your
if I looked
favorite thing
back,
to do? What's your favorite thing to do to
oh my
create
gosh,
the
number one
oxytocin?
is picking up that grandbaby of mine, playing with her and look at her smile and singing a goofy song. And oh my gosh, so fun. So
How old
fun.
is she?
She's 11, almost 11 months.
Oh gosh. See, mine is 3.5. I tell her every day, I'm like, you're my very best friend. And we dance and we sing together, and
Aw.
it's the best time of my life. I've had 3 boys, so to have this little girl has been like, and that is, I mean, everybody knows me. That when I'm with her, I don't care what else is
That's
going
it. That
on.
is the best medicine, right? We can't write
Mhm.
anything on a prescription that's going to work better than that.
Exactly,
So, and
exactly.
to encapsulate those moments and those feelings when we're not together, right? To
Mhm,
create that practice, that really healing practice. And again, I said I spent my 20s, the best years of my life, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn this stuff because my doctor's bag was empty. So there's a
mhm,
combination, right? East, West, traditional. I've traveled around the world and incorporated so many of these healing foods and modalities into my life. But when it comes to bioidentical hormone replacement, I think it can be for the rest of our life in, the appropriate amounts with the
mhm,
appropriate, breaks too. And that's
mhm,
not something we talk about very much because we haven't really studied that. But in working now in 30 years with hormone replacement, I know that we hit these plateaus and we don't want to negatively impact our body's own ability to make hormones. We want to support,
mhm.
replenish, and detox appropriately. Does that make
So
sense?
so we should be taking breaks? Should our doctors be getting us to take break? I know the small breaks, but
Definitely
should
with
we
progesterone.
okay.
Progesterone's the big one because it's the mother hormone, not necessarily with estrogen and testosterone or even DHEA. But with progesterone, that's the big one that Dr. Pam Smith has done a lot of work in hormone replacement. She's one of the lead instructors at the anti-aging and regenerative medicine and the hormone certification modules. So one of the things that research she made me aware of this fact and I looked into it, the research on continuous progesterone that could negatively impact your body's natural production. And in that case, that's not what we want to do. But
Mhm,
yet, like what do we know that empowers us on in general? We know fasting,
mhm,
detoxing, there are seasons for a reason. So I typically say with progesterone postmenopausally, you take 1 to 2 days off per week or
mhm.
3 to 5 days off per month.
Okay,
And that's
okay.
it. That's all you need. Just that little
And
washout.
another question I get from clients is it too late to start? A
Yeah.
lot of people think that it's too late to start hormones.
No. And I would only start transdermally, especially postmenopausal. I wouldn't do oral. Oral estrogens can increase blood clotting factors and inflammation. So we would start with a transdermal low dose and see. I
Mhm,
typically would start with, progesterone and pregnenolone. And I would start with that topically. I use a balance cream on, and
mhm,
you put topical progesterone on thin skin. So the décolletage, the neck,
mhm,
inner arms, inner thighs, lower abdomen, where you see veins.
mhm.
So that seems to have the best absorption.
So somebody could get your balance cream, just order it through you and they can start it that way.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's great.
Mhm.
And okay, so I know you've got so many other products too. You've got a hair care too,
Oh, I
don't
got my
you?
new Beauty Locks formula. Yeah.
Tell me about that.
So my Beauty Locks formula, it's great. I have to tell you the story of why I created it. So, with my Jolva cream, it's so funny. Oh my gosh, I don't know if I should share this, but this is like the creative minds, right? So, my Jolva cream has DHEA in it and
Mhm.
plant stem cells and some good ingredients, but I couldn't sell it to Canada. We can't cross the border with it because DHEA in Canada is prescription only. So I was like, okay, let me come up with a non-DHEA formula that's, at least as good. Let's see what I can come
Mhm.
up with. So it combined a bunch of ingredients, and one of them being sea buckthorn oil.
Mhm.
And I was getting ready to formulate this. And I was out one day at I was in my condo, and it was that icy winter. We had the freeze, and I wasn't going out to go. And I'm like, I'll just put sea buckthorn oil is so good for the hair. It really
Mhm.
helps with hair growth and everything. And I'm like, oh, let me just use this. I had my sample. Had been formulating. So I had some sample sizes, and I put it in my hair and my scalp. And I was like, oh my God, my hair feels amazing. And it smells. And then I kept using it. I'm like,
Mhm.
the research on sea buckthorn oil is really, really good. What if we added amino acids to it? And I made it a hair mask because I've had terrible trouble with hair loss. And you can see I've got all this great new hair growth.
Oh,
But I
wow.
have shared pictures of me with hair loss to here on my Facebook page. And so, and I know those are
Wow.
pictures you don't want to share, right?
Yeah,
And so,
exactly. But that is a big problem with
but that's
menopause too, right?
is
Is
hair
hair
loss.
loss.
And for a while I thought I was going to have to cut my hair shorter and shorter and shorter. And I didn't want to. And so
Mhm.
I was using that, and I was like, gosh, I should make that the next formula. And the women in Canada are still probably angry at me that I haven't made their
Yeah.
Jova for them yet, but I've got the beauty locks. I'm
Oh,
telling you, it
wow.
works. It's by far, it gets great feedback, and it's a hair mask, and it's designed to rub into your scalp, leave
Mhm.
it on, even 5, 10, 20 minutes ideally,
Mhm.
and then rinse it out. Or you can put it on, 20 minutes before you take a shower. Or I use it in my ends, and my hairdresser told me, he said, use that in your ends before you blow dry or style your hair. And I've been doing that, and my hair's stronger than ever.
That is amazing. That is
Mhm.
amazing. I love that you continue to, figure out new products and create new products for all of us. I know you probably do it almost selfishly for yourself first,
It's
and then it's
true.
like
It's true.
and then you get to share it with us. So you've got so many things. So I could keep you here forever and talk to you forever, but you do have these three wonderful books: The
Thank you.
Hormone Effect, Keto, let's see, Keto Green, and Menu Pause. So much information there, and they can find you also on the internet.
Yeah.
Tell them exactly where all they can find you.
Yeah, thank you, Deanna. I'm at dranna.com, so dranna.com. And we have our new menopause kit. So check that out at dranna.com/the kit. And I'm on Instagram at the girlfriend doctor, and on Facebook at the girlfriend doctor. I'm on TikTok too, but I don't tell anyone.
No, I'm on TikTok too. I don't like it as much, but
I do
anyway.
like Instagram.
Yeah, I love Instagram. I love Instagram too. And you have a podcast, and I was
And I
just
have a
listening
podcast, the
to
Girlfriend
your
Doctor Show
podcast. Yes.
podcast on Apple, iTunes, Spotify. Yeah.
Yes. Well, Dr. Anna, thank you so much for taking the time and educating us more. And thank you so much for creating all the products for us and writing the books and everything you're doing and training our doctors. Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you. We need here in Alabama, we need a lot more doctors trained. So if you're training any doctors in Alabama, please let me know which ones so I can make sure I go to them.
I
Oh
will. You
my
have
gosh.
to, yeah, make a trip up to Dallas. But yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for having me. And
Oh,
thanks for all you do. You always bring such positive energy.
thank you. Thank you.